welcome back to Tales from the World's Firesides at Christmas. I'm Clive Gilson, the story guy, and today I'm telling a Christmas tale called Mr. Tall Pine's Christmas Tree. This was originally written by Sarah Johnson Cocke in her book Bypaths in Dixie, published by Dutton And Co in New York in 1911, and this is my adaptation of that story. So, let's get on with it. In a quiet, snowy town, surrounded by towering pine trees, there stood an old tree farm called Tall Pines. It was owned by Mr. Tall Pines, a kind and gentle man who had run the farm for as long as anyone could remember. Every year, as Christmas approached, families would visit his farm to choose the perfect Christmas tree. The pines on his farm were known for being the tallest and most beautiful in the area. But this year, something was different. As December crept in, the air turned crisp, and Mr. Tall Pines wandered through his fields, noticing that many of his best trees were gone. The once grand pines had been chopped down in years past, and now only a few small trees remained. Well, what am I going to do? Mr. Tall Pines thought as he looked at the scrawny, uneven trees that were left. These won't make good Christmas trees at all. One tree in particular caught his eye. It was tall, yes, but crooked and a little scraggly. The branches were uneven and the top leaned to one side. "Oh dear," sighed Mr. Tall Pines. "You were supposed to be my grand tree for the year, but now look at you. No one will want you for Christmas." As the days went by, fewer and fewer people came to the farm. They wanted tall, perfect trees, and Mr. Tall Pines didn't have any to offer this season. He was very worried that this might be his last Christmas on the farm if he couldn't sell enough trees. Then, just a few days before Christmas, a young family arrived. They were new to the town, and they'd heard that Tall Pines was the best place to find a tree. Now the parents, along with their children, they wandered through the farm looking for just the right one. But as they moved from tree to tree, they didn't seem to find what they were hoping for. Finally, they spotted the crooked tree. The children rushed over and they giggled at the sight of it. "Oh, look at this one," they laughed. It's a funny tree, look." The parents walked over and smiled at the sight of the awkward pine. The top leaned to the side and its branches were a bit uneven, but there was something charming about it. It looked different, special even. "Well, why not this one?" the father said with a grin. "It's not perfect, but it has character." The mother nodded. "Yes, it's like it's had its own journey," she said. "And it will fit right in with our family. We're not perfect either. But we do love each other just the same." Now, Mr. Tall Pines, who had been watching them from a distance, stepped closer. "Are you sure you want this one?" he asked hesitantly. It's not exactly what people usually look for in a Christmas tree." The father smiled and nodded. "Oh, we're sure. It's perfect in its own way." With that, the family bought the tree and carefully tied it to the roof of their car. As they drove away, Mr. Tall Pines stood there watching, feeling a warmth spread through his heart. The crooked tree wasn't perfect, but it had found a home where it would be loved. That night, as the snow gently fell outside, the family decorated their new tree. They hung ornaments on its crooked branches, wrapped lights around its trunk, and even placed a star at the very top. Though the tree wasn't perfectly straight in their cosy living room, it shone brighter than any tree they'd ever had before. Now word spread quickly through the town about the family and their special Christmas tree. Soon, more and more people came to Mr. Tall Pine's farm, no longer looking for perfect trees, but for ones with character, ones that told a story. By Christmas Eve, all of Mr. Tall Pine's trees, crooked, scraggly and unique, had found loving homes. As he looked out over his empty fields, Mr. Tall Pine smiled. He realised that Christmas wasn't about having the biggest or the most beautiful tree. It was about love, family, and making the best of what you have. And that year, thanks to one crooked pine, Mr. Tall Pine's Christmas was the best it had ever been. Okay, that's the story of Mr. Tall Pine's Christmas Tree. It's a lovely little tale. I really do like it. This particular story by Sarah Johnson Cocke is a classic sort of Christmas story. It celebrates all of those themes of generosity, kindness, and the joy of the season. And while the story itself is not widely known, I think, in mainstream literature today, it does follow the traditions of heartwarming holiday tales that often centre around those personal transformations or the magic of Christmas. And as ever with my telling these stories, my main aim is to tell stories that might otherwise be forgotten or lost to modern readers, particularly tales outside of originating cultures. Basically, tales that help us to share our cultures and maybe make the world that little bit less complex. Now, if you've enjoyed the story, you can find out more about me, Clive Gilson, the story guy, at clivegilson.com, and you can also find out more about the Tales from the World's Fireside project there as well. And as you can see, there are dedicated sort of Facebook and YouTube channels indicated at the bottom of the screen. So I would appreciate it if you could hit the like button, and if you want to subscribe to those channels, great. There's new stuff all the time. We're certainly well around 100 stories now up on YouTube and Facebook, and there's more stuff coming all the time. Still, that's it for now. So thank you for staying with me. It's been a pleasure, as always. And until next time, then keep reading, keep listening, and keep watching. Have a great Christmas, and I hope you have a brilliant 2024.